Welcome into Payoff Pitch, everybody. Action Network's MLB betting podcast. It is Friday, June 16th. Oh, the dog days of summer. It's not even officially summer yet on this podcast. Like, look, we get it. Okay. We're here for 6 months. It's baseball season. You tune into a ball game, you go on a vacation, you come back, you tune into another ball game, go on vacation, whatever. We're here. Okay. Myself and Charlie DiSturco, two-man crew. Very bare bones episode for this Friday show. Hi, Charlie. How are you?
Hey, I'm also on vacation right now, but I decided to show up, so that should at least count for something.
You are committed to the program, committed to your Friday spot.
Exactly.
Just a quick programming note: we won't be here Monday. So I teased the whole show. We're here. We don't take the day off. We are off Monday for the first holiday. So we'll be back on Tuesday. So might as well get that out of the way now. Please rate, review, and subscribe the podcast Payoff Pitch. We are presented by BetMGM. Most weeks we are here Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. So Zerillo's on vacation. DeBundo is probably fixing his internet or, watching Bryce Harper clips on YouTube or Schwarber highlights. BJ Cunningham disappeared when Chris Sale got hurt. Who else? I think that's almost everybody. I don't know where Tanner is.
He could be hanging out with Marlins, about the fish. Yeah, screaming about Sandy Alcantara.
So there you go. I just gave you an update where everybody is. But Charlie's here. Triple Sevens coming up today?
Yes. Triple Sevens will be released around noon. So I'm submitting it after this podcast recording. I just finished it up, have all 3 picks, so I'll give that out here too later.
Excellent. So the longer we go, the longer delay of that getting out. So let's rip right through the slate. Full slate today, 15 games. Start me off with the bet. I'll try to weave in some analysis here. As folks probably know by now, I'm just the host. I tee people up and get out of the way. I'll weigh in from time to time. Best bet for today on this big slate.
Yeah, so best bet, Padres money line at plus money right now. They're slight underdog. Shane McClanahan, Yu Darvish, and I'm backing the story of positive versus negative regression here. Shane McClanahan, a 2.18 ERA. That expected ERA up over a 1.5 higher at 3.65. His walk rate is up, and he's getting barreled a lot this season, which is a bit of a concern. He's in like the bottom 20% of all pitchers in that category. We were seeing across the board his exit velo and his hard hit rate go up. And so I don't know if that's a byproduct of him throwing his fastball more and his off speed a little bit less. But Shane McClanahan does have some concerns here. He does give up a lot of hard hits and home runs. And that's a bit of a concern for me against a Padres lineup that really has started to come together over the last few weeks and month. And against left-handed pitching, they're 7th in WRC plus, 4th in isolated power. That's key here against a guy who gives up a lot of barrels. And then Yu Darvish, I mentioned the positive versus negative regression. He's due for positive regression. 4.3 actual ERA, that expected ERA down at 3.55. His expected slugging is 3.69. It's the lowest since this COVID year. His barrel rate's down over the past few years compared to over the past few years. So I'm looking at Darvish. He's above average across the board. The Padres are home. Both offenses. The Rays just had a slugfest in Oakland. If you call it the slugfest, at this point it was splitting the series. And Jason Adam, he's probably out, pitched back-to-back days, and Pete Fairbanks returned from the injured list, just pitched yesterday. I don't know if they'll use him on back-to-back. So this Rays bullpen that we've talked about all season long, being 29th in xFIP, I think that the Padres are live here and should be favored in this matchup.
McClanahan's numbers and record ERA for a general Joe Schmo like me, he looks very Tony Gonsolin-like from last year, just like hiding behind some red flags.
The difference between them two though is that at least like McClanahan gets a lot of swings and misses, and like yes, his strikeout rate's down a little bit, but he gets chases and stuff. And Tony Gonsolin relies on pitching to contact, and he's a bit of a unicorn in that aspect based on just his pitch mix and stuff that he's able to kind of nibble around the edges and even with the hard contact limit damage like he did against the White Sox.
You feel good about the Padres bats against a lefty today?
Yeah. I mean, they're 4th in isolated power, 7th in WRC plus. And if you've watched them over the last few weeks, they've really come together. Fernando Tatis really has made a difference atop that lineup. And Machado's coming along, Soto's coming along, even though it's lefty with Soto. I think they're going to score 4 or 5 runs, and that's probably all they need with Yu Darvish in that bullpen.
Okay, excellent. That is even money both ways at BetMGM right now. Tampa, San Diego. That's a good. I mean, if San Diego picks it up, that could be a World Series matchup. Who knows?
Yeah.
That would be good.
Wouldn't
Blake
surprise me.
Snell, revenge spot. Is Snell pitching this weekend?
I actually don't know. I haven't looked ahead at the schedule. Let's Padres game log real quick. He is. I think he is actually pitching this weekend because he pitched against the Rockies last week.
He is pitching Saturday. Blake Snell, Zach Eflin is the pitcher.
DeBundo's Eflin.
Yep. Stay tuned. Maybe if DeBundo wants to contribute this weekend to anything. Yeah. It's so fun to give people shit when they're not here. It really is. All right, we're looking at the app now to determine how we will possibly, not always, but possibly fade the public. And the people are coming in on the Atlanta Braves. Colorado has a good week in Boston. They come to Boston and just humble the Red Sox. That's what the Red Sox do for teams, is they can allow a scrubby team to feel better about themselves. So the Rockies feel good. They take 2 out of 3. Now they blew that third game to sweep the Red Sox. They didn't do so. Atlanta, we've talked about Atlanta's pitching, sort of shaky. The Atlanta Braves pitching staff as a whole, a little shaky. Atlanta tonight, they've got Jared Schuster on the mound tonight against Lamet. That's the pitching matchup. 91% of the bets, north of 70% of the cash coming in on the Braves. Charlie, on the money line tonight, Atlanta is, I had it up here just a second ago and I lost it. Sorry. Stand by. Atlanta Braves, minus 250. Rockies, plus 200. You want to take the Rockies?
No, but I do think that there's value on their side slightly in this game, but there's a different angle that I like. It's just one of those games that I think is going to be a higher scoring, higher variance game. And in that regard, taking the plus 200 might be worth it. But listen, I'm taking the over here. I took it at 10. I believe it's jumped up to 10.5 at this point. I still like it there. Jared Schuster, you mentioned a 5.1 expected ERA. And the biggest concern for me is he's got a 1.3 strikeout minus walk rate. So he's not striking out many batters. His command is spotty. So he's got to rely on, putting the ball in play to get his outs. But he's in the bottom 15% of all pitchers in hard hit rate and chase rate. So even against a free swinging Rockies team that struggles against left-handed pitching, I think that there's some value here in the over, and I think they can do some damage. Schuster's got a 417 expected slugging, 260 expected batting average. So, the Rockies, they're free swinging. They swing a lot. We saw against Paxton, they had plenty of runners on against the lefty. They just weren't able to fully succeed with runners in scoring position. I don't think that's the case here. I think they're able to get the Schuster. And then the Rockies pitching staff, or at least their bullpen, because this is a bullpen game. Lamet has thrown 3 to 5 innings in his last 3 starts. Will probably throw 2 to 3 here, I could imagine, because I don't think he's really going to find much success against Atlanta. He's got a 15% walk rate. That's a huge red flag, and a near 50% hard hit rate. The Braves bats, their offense is incredible, to say the least, and they're pretty selective at the plate. Ronald Acuna is not going to get into mistakes, and he's atop that lineup. You go right into Matt Olson, Austin Riley, Sean Murphy, all guys who crush right-handed pitching. He doesn't get chases like he used to Nelson Lamet. Career worst 244 expected batting average. So in a game where I'm expecting him to throw 2 to 3 innings and then the Rockies to turn to their bullpen, I'm going to take the over here. Rockies bullpen 27th in xFIP. We saw against the Red Sox in that series finale. The bullpen came in. They gave up, I believe, 5 runs in 1 inning. I think that that's pretty much what's going to happen again here. So in a game where I don't like the Atlanta starting pitcher, and I think that this is going to be a higher scoring, higher variance game, I'm more than happy to take the over. I could see this, hitting, the Braves hitting 8 to 10 runs on their own.
Okay. It's the largest total on the slate, 10.5 runs in Atlanta. Just so folks don't think that's
not Colorado. Yeah. Surprising to see a 10.5 in Atlanta.
But a Rockies game,
yeah,
not in Coors Field.
Yeah. Cause these pitchers are just, not great.
Yeah, looking at Schuster's, I'm sorry if you said this, but hard hit rate, 42%. Eesh.
Yeah, he's bottom 15% in that and chase rate. So when you're relying on pitching the contact and you can't get strikeouts and you have spotty command, it's not a recipe for success.
Okay, do you have the Reds hat handy? Did you bring that with you on your little trip? Of course you did. Wise ass. Underdog of the day. You've got the Cincinnati Reds. Now, a couple of bounces didn't go your way with this team.
Yeah.
Recently, they're at plus 145. They're visiting the Houston Astros on this Friday night. Cincinnati, Andrew Abbott on the mound against JP France.
Yes, I'm pretty high on Andrew Abbott as a whole. You look at his minor league numbers, he's got a 366 xFIP with high strikeout rate in AAA. You look at his numbers, how he's done this season. He's got a 389 expected ERA, hasn't allowed a run yet. That probably will change here tonight. A 229 expected batting average and a 335 expected slugging. So pretty promising numbers from him. The biggest issue is his walks and his command, and if he's able to kind of locate and not put a lot of
walks and 2 starts. Yep.
Yes. So if he's able to hone in on his control, I think that the Reds have found themselves a pretty, high leverage arm, at least toward this playoff push that they're trying to make here. And then you look at the other side, JP France, you look at his minor league numbers, they're more concerning than what he has right now in the majors. A 468 xFIP in 2023, a 507 xFIP in AAA in 2022 with a high walk rate. So he also, like Abbott, puts a lot of runners on base. But the difference here for me is I think JP France is the worst starting pitching. He has a 265 batting average on balls in play. He's in the bottom 1% of all pitchers in chase rate. So he's not getting swings and misses out of the zone. And the Reds, the last couple of weeks, have really honed in on their, plate discipline. Their young talent, except for maybe Ellie De La Cruz, really does not swing out of the zone. They don't find themselves really chasing pitches out of the zone. And JP France, low strikeout rate, high walk rate, has some troubles with expected batting average, expected slugging. I like the Reds here. And also another key thing, you look at the Astros, they had a long series with Washington, back-to-back extra inning games. So Hector Neris and Ryan Presley both threw back-to-back outings. They went 1-1 in that span with Washington. And now their bullpen that is so dominant has arguably their 2 best arms, maybe Brian Abreu's, in that group, is not available for this matchup. So as bad as the Reds pen has been at times, they have the higher leverage arms and the better higher leverage arms right now. And so I think that the Reds are more than live here at plus 165. It's pretty much an absurd number. I would take this down to about 140. It probably will never get to that point. And I also like the over in this matchup, that based on what we've talked about. Walks up, bullpens trending down, especially with no Neris and Presley. I think the Reds are going to be able to score and then, kind of cover my bases here with Reds money line in the over.
Total is at 8.5 for this game. Where are we at with, and I apologize, I should know this before we go. Oh, Altuve's back. Altuve's back.
Jordan's out for the next month.
I saw that.
He was hitting the ball well, but it's Jose Abreu. He's kind of old. And then Pena's, I believe, returned too from injury yesterday. So, but the Astros offense is not a dominant offense. Everyone thinks about them as this scary offense, and especially without Jordan, there's a lot of holes. Their back end of their lineup not great. Mauricio Dubon's been playing a lot more. He's been okay. There's really not much that I've seen from this team aside from maybe Altuve in his limited time that I'd be excited about. And this Reds offense the last couple of weeks have really done some damage. I mean, they're 1 game out of first place in the Central. So
wild. Central Division.
Yeah, it's awful.
Complete mess. They're at plus 800 now to win the division.
Are they? I got plus 1,400 to make the playoffs a week and a half ago, and 600 to 1 to win the World Series. But that's a little bit of a lofty expectation.
I mean, Zerillo. I think Zerillo has them at 40 to 1 to win the division.
Does he? Yeah, I mean it's high. They have
a while ago. That was way back.
Yeah. They have if Hunter Green pitches the way that he can, and Abbott comes up and is pitching as he is right now, they have obviously starting pitching is the biggest concern, but the Brewers have a bad offense and a pretty shaky pitching, and the Pirates I just don't think is sustainable and the Cardinals are a mess. I mean, they're just an utter disaster. So,
and the Rangers are still they're the second favorite to win the division, but Astros are still the favorite to win the AL West.
What are the Angels at?
Angels are at plus 800, which I think is
what I honestly still that was
the number preseason, right?
I think it was 900 preseason maybe, but I took them plus 200 to make the playoffs. I honestly still don't hate that bet. I'm looking now at the division, only 4.5 out. They're playing a lot better, and
they've won 8 of 10.
Their biggest issue is bullpen, but Aaron Loop's been pitching really well recently, and they got that guy Webb that came in last night and closed the door for Texas when Estevez came in and walked the bases loaded with no outs, down 3.
You got to think too that they'd be trying to make them. They might make some.
Oh, they'll
bullpen
buy.
moves.
Yeah.
They have to for Ohtani to try and keep him there.
You're either buying or you're either selling this year, and they're selling, Ohtani's leaving. I don't think they're going to be doing that, especially if they're within striking distance of the division and playoffs.
Okay, couple more you've got for us. You mentioned the Reds. You like the Reds game over against Houston. You said that one.
Yes.
Over in Colorado, Atlanta, as we discussed. Blue Jays angle for tonight.
Yes, Blue Jays first 5 money line up to -150. I got, I believe, -136. Kevin Gausman's on the mound. The Bundo's, that's the Bundo's love of his life. 258 FIP, 273 xFIP. He's got a career best 33.2 strikeout rate. So pretty impressive numbers right now for Gausman. A high ground ball rate, the highest since 2018. And he's been a bit unlucky with batting average on balls in play. He's given up a 338 batting average. A lot of that has to do with kind of his hard hits. But if his split finger's working, he's arguably one of the most unhittable pitchers in baseball. Last start, he was crushed by the Twins, but then you look at the last few starts before then, 40 innings pitched, 6 runs. That's a 135 ERA. So the way that he's pitching right now, outside of that start against Minnesota, has been incredible. His underlying metrics prove that this is not a fluke. And he's facing Martin Perez, so I'm not sure why Toronto's not heavier favorites here. Maybe it's because Toronto's not as good against left-handed pitching, but Martin Perez, a 5.14 expected ERA. His strikeout rate is all the way back down to where around that 15-16%. And he's giving up a 291 expected batting average. So a lot of concern for this Texas pitcher here and the Texas team as a whole. They've lost 6 of their last 8. They're falling down to earth. That's probably why they're now plus money to win the division. I in general think that Texas is slightly overrated, but I'm more than happy to take Toronto here in a bounce back spot after the Orioles series, especially to win over the first 5 here, get the bullpens just out of the question. And then the Chicago Cubs team total over 3.5 -120. Cole Irvin's on the mound and he is horrific. 350 expected batting average on your 600 expected slugging, and xERA up at 8.41. Does not strike out batters. And the Cubs are in their positive split, 11th in WRC plus 10th in isolated power against left-handed pitching. And this is the key here. So you look at the wind for the game and you're like, oh, wow, the wind's blowing in 11, 12 miles an hour. This is an under game. Well, the Cubs, they don't hit a lot of home runs. Like they're about average, like 40-40 split and fly ball, ground ball rate, actually a little bit under that. And where they are really high and especially against left-handed pitching, is line drive rate. And they're 3rd in all of baseball in line drive rate. Nico Herner, Madrigal, a lot of these guys are, and Seiya Suzuki, are a lot of contact hitting guys that line the ball into the outfield, get runners on base, do some damage that way. Yes, they have the power hitting of like Morel, but I love the team total over 3.5 here. I think the Cubs are going to roll against Irvin rather than taking the full game over and trusting the Orioles against Hendricks, a more fly ball pitcher. I'm going to back the concerns with Irvin and back the Cubs offense. And the 777s, I believe that's all Dodgers money line also. Emmett Sheehan -140. The kid's electric. You look at his minor league numbers, a 15 strikeout per 9 rate and a 186 ERA in the minors right now, facing a bullpen day from the Giants. So like the Dodgers here. And then quickly, I'll give out just my 777s pick without much analysis. Will Contreras against Dick Mountain. We're fading Rich Hill as he continues to defy expectations as this old man who has concerning numbers but pitches above it. Bobby Witt Jr. against a lefty. We're going to keep taking him. And Paul Goldschmidt against a righty. Surprising, actually, if you look at his numbers, he doesn't hit for power against left-handed pitching this year compared to last year, but he crushed his righties. So back on board with Goldie after he let me down against San Francisco last time.
Okay. And again, 777s will be posted very soon. ActionNetwork.com, Action Network app, Charlie's. It's a weekly column, right? You do that every Friday?
Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's good. Yeah. Monday, Wednesday, Friday at around 11 to 12, it gets released. Always a half a unit on total bases, 0.1 on home runs. If you want to get lucky or you want to test your luck, you can parlay the home runs, which I may do, and because I'm due.
All right. And who are the 3? Give me the 3 again.
Bobby Witt, Bobby Witt, Goldschmidt, and William Contreras, not Wilson.
Okay. Good to point that out. Very good. All right. I think that's it. That's how you do a Friday show right there, man. That was good.
Quick and
Great
easy.
job. Quick and easy. We are back Tuesday of next week, off Monday, as I said at the top of the show, with the holiday. So we're back June 20th. Hopefully more people want to come hang out with Charlie and I. Or you're not probably here Tuesday, now that I think about it.
Unless they're still out, who knows? At this point, you might see me on Tuesday. I've been here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or Monday, Tuesday, and Friday this week. So
yeah,
you heard
did all
my
3
voice.
Days last week. So
yeah,
everyone's
hearing my voice this week.
All righty. Find Charlie DeSturco in the app, our other baseball guys. Don't worry. Some of them that aren't on the pod, they're probably still betting tonight, except Zerillo. Zerillo's gone off the face of the earth.
You're up.
Yeah, he's gone for a little bit. So Zerillo will be back, and others will be back for next week. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Payoff Pitch, Action Network's MLB betting podcast. We are presented by BetMGM. Thanks to the folks at BetMGM. Thanks for listening. Have a great weekend. Talk to you next week. Have a good weekend.